Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Poetry Stage. We're going to start back up here with our last featured reader for today. First off, a couple announcements. I'd like to thank some of our sponsors who are responsible for the Poetry Stage, happening this year, and some of them are Arrowcloud Press, United Rentals, Tsunami Books, Sundance Natural Foods, Capella Market, Baja Fresh, New Zone Gallery, Sweet Life, Starbucks, Trader Joe's, and Bijou Metro. So, without further ado, we are going to... Oh, we have a bio. Yay! We have our last featured reader tonight, Leo Rivers. I had asked all our poets to send me a bio, and Leo didn't get to it, but he brought me one here. And Leo came all the way up from Cottage Grove to be with us today. He's one of the Cottage Grove group of poets down there. They've got a wonderful group of poets in Cottage Grove. They have an open mic, poetry open mic, the third Tuesday of every month at the Axe and Fiddle there. And poets get 9 minutes to read. And if you get a featured spot, you can get 20 minutes to read. So it's a really fun reading if you ever want to go down to Cottage Grove, which we have done. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about Leo. Leo turned 65 last Thursday. Well, welcome. I just got my Medicare card in January. So Leo turned 65 last Thursday, published in the last 10 Denali magazines, LCC's literary magazine, and always at the third Tuesday Kayapuya Poetry Night. Leo can't stop writing poetry. Thank goodness, because here he is, Leo Rivers.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Yes. Thank you. All right, I'm going to trim this a good deal from what I was going to do originally, because we can all just talk like people here. There's a writer I discovered some years ago, Simone Weil. It's spelled W-E-I-L, but it is they. And these two books down here, Oppression and Liberty, and the other book about rootedness, established her in the 1930s and 40s, before she died, before the war was over, as one of the earliest writers who completely analyzed and demolished both the Marxist socialist state philosophy as well as corporate capitalism, which was a discussion way back then. But because she did that, both the left and the right wing for the last 73 years have been denigrating her pretty bad. So I wanted to talk tonight about a book that I wrote over the last year. I studied Auschwitz because I believe that the way people were treated there in the German war machine was the beginning of a kind of modernity where people don't matter at all. And I was going to try to introduce people to how bad it was by saying, what would happen if somebody we really valued, someone like Simone Weil, had gotten arrested by the Gestapo, because she was in the French resistance, and we never got what she had to offer, how much smaller the world would be. Okay? Now, the prison she would have gone to is something that's called Ravensbrück, 50 miles north of Berlin. It was a prison for women, mostly people who were political undesirables, homosexuals, astrologers, and of course the Jews as well. So she would have been arrested and taken there. Now, I'm going to start off tonight by reading a short poem about the kind of things in the world that are really good, the things we should like. And I was thinking, lovers rule, or children rule, or lovers rule, or children rule. The good things that people always seem to agree but never really defend when the time comes to defend them right. So I wrote this short poem called Paper Bag Poetry. Rainbows and rain walk together on the wet sidewalks, a shy girl and a young man without the muscles for a mustache. Yet she's strong for him, and passes the keys to him, and carries the grocery bag against her breasts like a baby as he drives. As he drives, he's looking for their song on the radio all the way home. There is so much to hope for, and so much we'll never know. Standing in the kitchen of the mobile home that they call home. Standing in the kitchen of the mobile home that they call home. Where did the little box of crackers like little goldfish go? Who slipped the gossip magazine with the big breasts beauty queen in? He pops open a beer and gives the first gulp to her. They stand on the yellow linoleum that all poor people know. They will make their stand on this butt-ugly yellow limo. Go, young couple, go! I actually saw them walking home in Cottage Grove about a year ago, and they were leaning into each other like each was the other's umbrella. And I instantly, my heart opened for them. I remembered I was like that once, you know, back in 1970 when I knew Tina, the girl I was going to marry. Well, anyway, love is so much bigger than anything you can ever think, though. It's worth fighting for. Now, I've given you a reason to fight. I'm going to tell you about a little something that I'm worried about happening. And since I've explained how I came to write the cycle called The Crowning Skull of Earth, Auschwitz and its meaning for modernity, last January I discovered a book called Ravensbrück, which was about a woman's prison and completely invigorated me, and I wrote an introduction to the big cycle that I had written about Simone Weil. What would happen if she'd gotten arrested? So, I'm going to skip right to the poem, and it's called Weil in Ravensbrück, the prequel to The Crowning Skull of Earth. And if you don't know anything about Simone Weil, you're going to get a little bit of a taste of she was a little bit difficult an angel to deal with. Very intellectual and very unforgiving. But also one of the biggest bodhisattvas you would have ever known. She was completely unselfish. But anyway, the poem. January 19th to February 4th, 1942. Simone Weil was captured in Marseille, a clumsy scarecrow of a girl with a staccato French drawl. She was a spinster of the bookshelves and a beaky intellectual, possessing an overweening genius yet to condense its seething Tesla nebula into an orrery of ordered thought within, such a thunderhead as all chain smokers scowl in. The police caught her putting pamphlets of resistance called the Cahiers de Témoignage de Chrétien in the hands of French partisans. To her chagrin, despite her Catharism and Caucasian skin, Simone was designated a Jew by the same fiat of bureaucratic selection that would make a Star of David of a red and yellow triangle the sole and sufficient identification for this red virgin. When moving deep within the internal ghetto of Nazi concentration lager, nestled like tumors hidden amidst the lovely Europe's disembowelment into unraveling yellow intestine, from Ravensbrück above Berlin, down the two sides of the triangle to Dachau outside of Munich, and Auschwitz out in Poland. Piqued by this absurdum reductum, Simone began to lecture the police, until, boggled by her incomprehensible scoldings and sermons, the pissed-off cops called in the Gestapo dog pack, who tossed her around like a little kitten. They found her too plain to rape, so shipped her straight to Ravensbrück, set picturesque behind a lake, fanned by breezes off the Baltic Sea, encircled by an electric fence, patrolled by human-killing dogs, and ogre Valkyrie. The children sing, "Where do they take these partisans, the partisans and red Germans? They took them in trucks to Bernberg, where they were gassed and burned in ovens." The poet sings, "Snowflakes so huge, so slow to fall. Snowflakes cling to wire and wall. Snowflakes falling without stop, white and pretty, cold as rock. Snowflakes soft on our rooftop. Snowfall gentle on the ladies' block. On the fourth day of the second month, when the skull of earth began to turn with a wince to face the rising sun, early, so late at night, he was in the deep of darkness in which quickens the darkest of deeds, to be done at dawn. To the block they came, the guards to get the girls for one last exam by doctors before. The Vernichtung Transport fetched them, drivers handsome, like upright hawks, before the rumbling engines, eyes on the block of us, capos, helping load the women and many healthy, young, not at all the regular diet of cripples and wretches too feeble to work and feed, and of course the communists and lesbians, the ones you'd expect to see, and the usual Jews. Among them Simone, wrapped and grim, made absolute with attention. The Sondertransport, special transport, took them to their Sonderbehandling, special treatment, the one that takes such people to the special heaven of the forgotten. In short, the motherfuckers gassed them. No details got out about what happened, out to the world, or even the local population. Ravensbrück proved a successful proof of concept and dry run for Auschwitz and a final solution back then. And God willing, it may return again, like old wine in new bottles as a medicine for the melancholy of modernity. We see the seething anger of our fellow Americans with the problem of the great unwashed masses, asocial and unemployable, the tens of millions of them, deadbeats, immigrants, and sullen children content to treat welfare like a trust fund, none of them worth the cost of feeding them. And denouncing these, lumping them all into one great designation, the Greek chorus of those frustrated, angry men who, disappointed in their expectations, will raise their voices like claws to drag down the long, deaf heaven close enough to hell to hear them. Let the war begin. Assign them numbers, prioritize a list, track their cell phone, send a drone with a kiss to their coordinates. Let the war begin. No soldier should be too shy to gun a guy to spill the blood of men less than men for the sake of a crusade to make things right again. Let the war begin. Such thoughts follow one like a bad friend into a house of sin. Ravensbrück planted a start that will start again. So many ashes filled this lake, filled by obscuring illumination top to bottom. So well shredded are these human documents, I doubt the power of Christ hath either the wit or the way to call their shades back to human form within the ghostlight mists of dawn, to prove the fact of a fleshly resurrection, and heal the wrong of forgetting the forgotten. After all, if I may be so blunt to mention, there was likely 30,000 of these women burned like witches in this garden. This was done by men. And what men do, men will do again. I miss her so this warning to you. They would make of all our world one block 32. In closing, I want to say, the wolves will never lay down their teeth. If we give up on love, then we give them easy meat. Thank you.
Wow, Leo, that was some very powerful stuff. So thanks so much for coming up here and to share with us. And let's give Leo Rivers another round of applause. That was really awesome.